Hello YouTube, this is Kai from Kai Labs, and today we are talking about how to make your Oxygen Pro MIDI controller from M-Audio work with the AKAI MPC2 software. Those two are from the same mother company, inBrands Music. They should work together right out of the box. Shouldn't they? Of course, they don't. And we will have a look into it, why this is like that, and how we can solve this problem. So let's just have a look on the software. So this is the MPC software. I already loaded a project with 8 different tracks, but these tracks are empty. So this is just for demonstration purposes. And we are also looking into the MIDI settings. You get this window when you press Control, comma. Yeah, I don't know why. Usually in any other DAW it's Control P, but with MPC software it is Control, comma. So, and let's see into MIDI sync. So what you need is MIDI in 3, at least set to track, and Oxygen Pro 61 also set to track, and the same with the output ports. But if you want to have MIDI learn work, you also have to check control. So I already did that, as you can see. So I just press play now. And as you can see, this works. And stop also works. Isn't that great? So next thing is, how about we want to, record something. Usually if you press the record button on the software, this begins to flash. And then if you press play again, it would just start. But of course, we have to do this on the keyboard. So I press and nothing happens. I press the record button and nothing happens. Maybe if I press it together, nothing happens. I can press stop, of course. So why is that? Well, that's an interesting question. And if we have a look here at the MIDI settings of the transport console, you see play is channel 13 in this M-Audio Oxygen Pro. You can choose that in the factory settings, of course. I have to show you here. M-Audio Oxygen Pro 61. I already did that. So it's set and it's enabled. I can disable it, but that's not a good idea. So I enable it. And as you can see, in the settings of this profile, it's channel 13. And some are also channel 14. Okay, so now we have a look into, now you can see that the transport console in the MPC preset inside of the keyboard is channel 1. Why? This can't be right. Absolutely not. It can't be right. Okay, how do we make this work? There is one possibility, and it's really something I don't know how to explain to you, but just let me show it to you. I press DAW long, and now I can choose which DAW. And if I choose reason, this happens. Can you imagine? These things work if you switch over to the reason profile inside of the M-Audio Oxygen Pro. But there are still some things that don't work, but this is actually something that could work. Okay, let's stop it. And let's have a broader view, because there are also those so-called cue links. And I can also adjust the cue links with the reason profile. This is unbelievable. As you see, the cue links just work. So, of course, I only have 8 of those knobs. So, what will happen if I want to access also the other ones? Well, it's the faders. Of course not. Okay. I don't know why this does not work today, but the faders usually worked with that. Not today. Okay. Not a big problem. But as you can see, okay, there's one good thing here. The first fader is the main volume. As you can, or maybe if, yeah, the main volume is over here. And if I just adjust that, you see this is the main volume. And other things like swing, don't know what that is. But you see, if I just choose all, there is time correct, swing, change sequence, change track, sequence bars, sequence tempo, sequence transpose, sequence loop start, and that's it. So this is not really something I would like to work with if I have faders, right? So we would have to change that. And I just mentioned this because it's the reason why the profile does not work. Because inside, because the profile that AKAI put in for the M-Audio Oxygen Pro only works with the settings on the M-Audio keyboard with the reason settings. So this is just ridiculous. But anyway, so if you were wondering how can I make this work, this is one of the solutions, but it's not a good solution. So let's have a look. I made a nice graphic how to make this work. So, and you see, you have to do the MIDI setup, of course, and you choose your DAW profile. And in this case, maybe you choose reason, but I wouldn't actually, because at the end of the day, the programming for the reason profile is not really a sensible one. I would just recommend that you do something else, and that is you set this keyboard again to the MPC software, though the MPC software won't work with that. And you choose inside of the MPC software new MIDI map. So that means we have to program every function we want to use ourselves. This is a little bit tedious, but at the end of the day, you will be much happier with it than the other way around. Just using something someone thought, you can do it, so let's do it. Before we go into programming the new MIDI map for our controlling scenario in the MPC software, I would like to show to you something that is really, well, astonishing. So, watch my keyboard and hear the notes. Those jumps, where are they from? And now have a look if I just disable this profile. So there's something really, really strange here. Anyway, so let's enable it again. And now we are programming a totally new MIDI map. But before we do that, we have to understand that there are two different MIDI maps. There's a global map and a project map. And with AKAI and the MPC software, everything global is everything that is not related to tracks. So that you have to keep in your mind, because that also means you can't program faders for your different tracks. You have to program the faders in the project MIDI map. That also means that this project MIDI map will only apply to the project you're working on and not for your next project. If you want to do this, you have to save what we are doing now as a template and load this template as a default, so that you have a project with 8 tracks and you change these tracks, or the instruments in the tracks, whenever you want to, but you won't have a general MIDI map for your faders and muting your tracks and soloing your tracks and all that stuff. That's not possible, and this is really something I can't really grasp, because it's so totally different to other DAWs. For example, my Reaper software or my Cakewalk software, there you can just program your MIDI map, and the tracks, the first 8 tracks, will always have a fader, will always have a mute button, will always have a solo button, no problem at all. But not with the MPC software. So this is a design decision of the MPC software makers, so we can't change that. We have to keep that in mind when we are programming our MIDI map. Okay, let's go into the global map now. So as you might imagine, we will also have to new MIDI map. So, and let's just give it a name. Yeah. So, and as you see, everything must now defined by us. And we do that. First of all, we have to activate MIDI Learn. And now we can, for example, start with the first pad. And there it is. So now our 16 pads are defined. We can also program the cue lengths. And we do that. It's always the same. You select the control in the software and you move the controller or press the controller on your keyboard. By the way, this only works when you have a new MIDI map. As you remember, in the original reason profile, Q link 9 to Q link 16 was defined by the faders, but we want to use the faders later in our project MIDI map. So we do something totally different because we have different banks. So why not using the next bank for this? That's what we are doing. Now we are on bank 2. Okay. It always takes a little time to react. And now we have all cue links programmed. So next thing is the play from start button. As you can see, channel 1, yes, that's right. And the record button. Though it might be better to use the overdub button. And now we need the stop button. That's here. So everything else is nothing I really care for. So we just let it, oh no, the main volume. That is something I want to have fixed. And for the main volume, I don't use the fader 1, but fader 9. Okay. And that's it. That's all I want to define here. And I can now save this. It will be already saved, but you can export it. Save. And the reason is because whenever you choose something else, you won't find it here because there is a factory and yeah, the new map won't be in the factory presets, and there are user presets. And as you see, every time the program is started, there will be a new copy here. And you can choose this copy and change things there, but that was not what I wanted. It will be always here. unless you change something. Okay, next thing is the project MIDI map. And this is actually as easy as you want it to be. First of all, we need to have our faders. And there is the channel mixer. So as you can see, there are different tracks here. And we can say, okay, MIDI learn. So, and track 1. And now we just move the fader and it will be learned. And we do this for every other track as well. So everything is set now, but the mute button and all that stuff is not there yet. So next thing are the mute and solo buttons. We do that now. Track 1, mute button. And for that we have to adjust the global button or the mode button to mute. And now we can just press the first. So as you see, it worked. Theoretically, this should work, but it does not. You will see that. You see track 8 is still on mute. We can unmute it. And now I press mute again. And as you can see, it just keeps switching off. Why is that? How about we just make a toggle button out of it? Yes, that's the solution, toggle buttons. And I guess we don't need this one here. So MIDI learn is not perfect. Let's try this again. Right. And if we wanted to, we could also, no, we only have 8 buttons. Okay. Let's do the solo buttons as well. And that doesn't work. No solo for this one. And this is because in our MIDI map, there are no different values for solo, mute, select, or record. So if we want to use these functions, we have to change that. You could, for example, you could change the channel. For example, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. And then this should work. And that's what we are going to do right now. I started the M Audio Oxygen Pro 61 preset editor. You should have that software too. You can download it from the M Audio homepage from your profile. So first thing to do is retrieve the preset in DAW mode. And as you can see, we have now the preset from our MPC preset loaded. And we already used channel 1 for mute. So we are going to use channel 2 for all the solos. So that's good. And now we also want to be able to arm a track for recording. So, and for that we are using channel 3. You're absolutely free to do it in your own way. You can also just use other MIDI CC nodes, but it might be problematic to do that. So I rather go with the channels. And for selecting a track, we are using the channel 4. So just reviewing it. Mute is 1, solo is channel 2, record, arming for record is channel 3, and selecting a track is channel 4. Okay, that's nice. So please don't just close this thing, because that won't help. You have to send this preset back. So, okay, what I just realized, or let's say it's a little fun fact, is that when you adjust your DAW, for example, to MPC, and you retrieve this preset, then you will get the corresponding preset. But if you are changing that preset and you try to send it back, it will send it to the one user place which is free. As you can see, this is now MPC2, MPC new, how I called it, just to identify it. And when I retrieve it, there are my settings. So we have to change to the last place of the user of the DAW presets, which is a user preset, and that means you can't have different. You can't have more than one individual preset for DAWs, which is not ideal, because I need my cakewalk user preset there. So always when I have to change, when I want to change the DAW, I will have to load my profile into the preset editor and send it to this user preset. That's less than ideal, and I really can't understand, because you can edit these presets, but it won't be accepted in the old place, because this is obviously some holy place. I mean, who wants to change the MPC preset? That's unbelievable foolish, isn't it? Well, okay, I learned something new. Okay, now let's go back to MPC. We are now back in our MPC project, and I have to adjust now the different channels and that stuff, but I guess it will be, well, it will be okay. Yes, now it works. Okay, let's see if this worked out as we wanted it to work out. Okay, this is the solo. And this should be the mute button. It works, yeah. That's great. So, okay, let's do the rest of it. Okay, I don't know what this will... So this is what we have. We have some general functions that we can control through our keyboard. And we also have some special project-related functions, that is those nice faders here, as you can see. And we can set a track to mute, or we can solo a track. So this is already a lot, but it's not everything I would wish for. So, but this is what you can do. And, well, that's it. I am not really a big fan of this software. And I'm a little bit disappointed from M-Audio that you only can have one user DAW preset that you can edit as you wish. And otherwise, even if this is a catastrophic, quite a catastrophic preset, you have to just take it as it is. I mean, this is not what I think is a good thing. Okay, that's it for today. Have fun with my other videos. Bye-bye.